A fourth-quarter rally to squeak out a win against the Pelicans last night. The Pels had an 8-point lead just over halfway through the fourth quarter before the Lakers went on a 14-0 run to take control. Lakers coach J.J. Redick spoke post-game about the comeback win.
Frankly, that's not a win we've had since probably November, where we're down. A lot of those early wins when we started 15-4, we had a number of double-digit deficits in the second half and just stuck with it and kept playing. And it was a good win for our group to be able to do that again.
Yeah, clutch time win. It was good to see the Lakers pull it out. Didn't matter who that was against. Stephen A., is there anything the Lakers can do to convince you that they are a contender this year?
Well, they can play some defense, and they could get DeAndre Ayton to act like he has a pulse. Those two things stand out in my mind. That's not the only thing they could do, but certainly that would go a long way. DeAndre Ayton, he's an island man, He's from the Bahamas and all that stuff. And he is somebody that makes you feel like half the time he's walking on the beach. Or he thinks he's walking on the beach. He's just that lackadaisical, that relaxed. No urgency whatsoever. And you can't have that from a 7-footer with the talent that he has. Nevertheless, it exists. Defensively, what are they? 22nd in efficiency, 26th in field goal percentage allowed. This is not an impressive defense. This is a defense that can barely stop a cold on too many occasions, unfortunately. That puts more pressure on LeBron, AR, and Doncic to be more efficient and to do what they do. And that's unfortunate because I think they have the offensive firepower to compete with anybody. They're number one in the NBA in field goal percentage, so they can make some shots. The issue is that you can't stop others from making their shots. And that's really, really the problem. So I would say defense and a center that has a pulse. That would help.
Shanae.
You got to come at my man, though. I mean, more productivity.
Go ahead, Monty.
More productivity.
Go ahead, Monty.
What did I say? What did I say, Eminem? What did I say, Eminem? What's the problem with what I said?
You just creatively told the truth, but why we got to take a shot at the islands? I love being on the islands. I would rather be on an island right now.
No. Hold on. My family, we're from the island. I mean, when I think about the islands, I love it, but I'm just saying, that's where you relax. That ocean air hits you, and it's just beautiful, and it's serene, and it's wonderful. And unfortunately, the Lakers have a center that act like he's chilling in the Bahamas on the beach instead of being on the basketball court at Crypto.com Arena. Yeah. That's the damn problem.
Yeah, no, I get it. They definitely.
That's not a shot at the islands. That's a shot at him.
For fair, they definitely need more productivity on their interior for sure. I just don't think this team has enough size in general to go to bat in the West. Now, if I had to say what scenario would you buy, I would need them to get somehow on a miraculous run with 2 games versus Denver and 2 times at Houston coming up. I would need them to sometimes at Houston coming up. I would need them to some kind of way find their way into the fourth or third seed in the Western Conference, because then you're starting to look at matchups potentially. But right now, for them being on the outside looking in as far as having to go through that play-in potentially, I just think it's going to be too many games. And we've seen this. What was it, 2 years ago when the Lakers found themselves in a really entertaining run down the stretch, but they basically ran out of gas. So I think they'd have to figure out a way to jump in those standings for me to be like, wait a minute, hold up. Is LeBron James and company turning back the hands of time?
Stephen A., Monty, you guys know that I always like to come on here and be the glass half full and not the glass half empty when it comes to players. But I'm not going to lie. When I was watching the game yesterday and the Lakers were playing with their food a little bit, the game was closer than it needed to be. There was a stretch where DeAndre Ayton, they gave him a bounce pass that was wide open, a beautiful pocket pass slipped through his hands. Then he got a board, I think an old board, and then got swiped from behind, got blocked from behind. Fortunately, LeBron James still trusted his teammate. And then on the fast break, we were also in the middle of a LeBron James flurry of multiple dunks in fast break. He dishes it out to DeAndre Ayton, who knocks it down and, slams the alley-oop. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because I was cringing oh, no, this is just a bad situation when it comes to their bigs. And my answer is that, Again, I played for the Los Angeles Sparks. I understand the city, Los Angeles. It's been embedded in my family. This is my home right now. When you wear the purple and gold, you have the expectation to always say we are going to be a championship team sooner now than rather later. But this is just not the team by design, by construction. It's unfortunate. And you're right. Defense is the biggest issue. The late great Pat Summitt said, offense sells tickets, defense wins games, rebounding wins championships. Contenders can play defense and rebound. the offense, the scoring. That's beautiful. That's sexy. They're currently 28th in rebounding, 23rd in defense. And then when we go to offense, they're 23rd or so in made threes per game, where that's where you're supposed to have some of the best, backcourt. You have LeBron James spotting up. You have Austin Reaves that can create a shot and create for others. And then you have Luka Doncic, who, mind you, I think he's pacing the NBA right now in points. The storyline should be, can Luka take the season and win MVP? But instead, everything is being undersold. So it's hard for me to say that they are contenders, even though they're in the mix and they're solidified right now in the playoff and not play-in.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, you're not wrong about that. And I think the other thing to bring up is that you mentioned, remember, with LeBron, with AR, and with Luka, they're all scorers, not shooters. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't rely on their three-point shooting to be money. You can rely on them to put the ball in the hole on a frequent basis or night in, night out. But to shoot from three, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. That's just the way that it is with them. And when you combine that with the fact that their defense is horrid and that JJ needs their offense because he knows their defense is horrid, that puts even more pressure on the offense to be efficient, which obviously deflates some expectations as well. So all of that stuff works hand in hand.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. LA has the night off tonight. Obviously, they're coming off a win over the Pelicans last night where they rallied late.
I'm so surprised. Win over the Pelicans. I'm so surprised. Go ahead.
I loved that.
No, totally.
Coming up on first.
Basically, I'm just thinking about breakfast and food.
Breakfast sandwich.
Big Bad Pistons sit atop the East, taking on the Donovan Mitchell-less Cavs right here. Cavs looking to get revenge after to win this one 113-109, but JB Bickerstaff still wants more.
Defensively, there's so much more for us to be had. And regardless of what's happening on the offensive end of the floor, like if we're not defending, we're not rebounding, we're not attacking the paint, then we're not playing Pistons basketball. And against a quality opponent like this, if you don't play to your identity for 48 minutes, you're not going to be able to win games. And again, it was a close enough game, but still, if we're trying to do what we want to do, we got to be better.
Knicks north of the border against the Toronto Raptors. Knicks the number 3 seed currently in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors mascot doesn't look as good as Walt Clyde Frazier there.
I like the jacket, though.
It's nice. It's a nice look. I don't know if I can pull it off.
Probably not.
Nice history behind the aforementioned Walt Clyde Frazier.
All right, welcome in our senior NBA writer, Vincent Goodwill. And the Knicks are 5-1 since losing to the Pistons by 15 2 weeks ago. So, Vinny, what have they been doing right in order to right the ship in New York?
Well, they've been playing closer to an identity that they've been trying to establish since the start of the season. They've had some blowout wins. I mean, they beat Milwaukee by 29. They beat the Spurs by 25 right here on ESPN. And then last night doing what they've done to Toronto, even though they've beaten up on the Raptors all season long. And defensively is where they've been able to do it. Karl Towns has been better. Mikal Bridges has been better. Josh Hart and OG Anunoby are consistently good on that end. And Karl Towns has been efficient since the All-Star break, shooting 53% from three-point range. So even though people are ready to sound the alarm after that loss to Detroit, the Knicks are quietly righting the ship. And tonight, they got their biggest test of the season, Oklahoma City, coming into Madison Square Garden.
And I want to go back to that matchup between the Cavaliers and the Pistons. You just heard JB Bickerstaff talking about their defense post-game. However, I want to focus on the Pistons. What do you think was the biggest issue for Detroit in their loss to the Cavaliers, who also did not have Donovan Mitchell out there on the floor?
I mean, it's almost like quiet signs are sprouting up in Detroit. They've had slow starts the last 3 or 4 games against San Antonio, against Cleveland on Friday night in Detroit, and Horngate against Orlando. Those things can come back to bite you, especially if you're not taking care of the ball, especially if you don't get a high volume of three-point shots. They had 5 straight games of fewer than 10 three-point attempts. And in a three-point lead, I don't know if you can win that way, so it's going to put a lot of pressure on your defense to finish off possessions. And Amina, remember this. On Friday night, one of the Cavs players told Cleveland.com anonymously that the Pistons are not in the same class as the Cavs. I think J.B. Bickerstaff wanted a better response from his team.
Look, there's a lot of smoke between both of these teams. I can't wait to see them in the postseason. Vincent Goodwill with the latest. Thanks so much, Vinny.